A University of Florida class is exploring the Black Lives Matter endgame and critical race theory, and this gator is not happy about it. Also, calling fish trash is now considered racist, according to a university study, and at one school, transgender students are feeling unsafe because legal names are being used on diplomas. I'm Ophelie Jacobson, and this is the Campus Countdown. For our number 3 story of the week, a class at the University of Florida will ask students this fall to analyze James Baldwin's work through the lens of critical race theory, as well as the writer's influence on Black Lives Matter. The course title is James Baldwin and Critical Race Theory. According to the course description, quote, students will critically study how James Baldwin fared as an American writer and social critic, and how critical race theory might reveal or deny the persistence of anti-Black violence in words and deeds. Additionally, quote, class discussion will consider how Baldwin imaginatively exposed and fervently articulated the coming consciousness that generates Black Lives Matter awareness and endgame. Students will also be required to read supplemental texts from scholars including Frank B. Wilderson III and Jared Sexton. Wilderson III, a professor at the University of California, Davis, has been quoted saying, quote, I'm not against police brutality, I'm against the police. This obviously isn't the first time we've heard about a class that teaches critical race theory, and it certainly won't be the last. But what makes this class unique is that the University of Florida has taken what could have been a normal class about James Baldwin and his works, and they've made it woke. As a UF student, I'm concerned that this is being taught at my university. Not only does this course endorse a Marxist organization, it spends an entire semester analyzing critical race theory instead of actually examining the work of James Baldwin in a meaningful way. Our Florida Governor Ron DeSantis banned CRT in K-12 education in the state of Florida. But this just goes to show how important it is that we keep fighting it in college education as well. Higher education institutions are doing everything in their power to impose CRT on all fields of study. And keep in mind, UF is a public institution, which means taxpayers' dollars are literally funding this course and paying for the salary of the professor who is teaching it. Floridians' taxes should not be going towards education that promotes a false narrative about the American experience. The bottom line is, colleges aren't trying to hide their leftist agendas anymore. They're now blatantly admitting that they want to raise the next generation of social justice warriors. It's in the course title. And speaking of social justice, one school is combating racism by informing the community that calling fish trash is offensive and racist. And here to tell us more about the story is Campus Reform correspondent Addison Pummel.
Thanks for having me, Ophelia. For our second story this week, University of California, Davis released a study saying that calling certain fish rough or trash is inherently racist. Researchers say the cause is colonialism and the historical prejudice of white males in the fishing industry. The researchers are calling on state governments to remove these titles in all official documents, and have even said that terms such as game fish and sport fish are also problematic. The study says, quote, perspectives of white males have overwhelmingly dominated fishery science and management in the USA. This dynamic is exemplified by bias against rough fish, end quote. Of course, this is just another word to add to the ever-growing list of canceled words and phrases. Earlier this year, Brandeis told its students that the words picnic and rule of thumb were also racist. But from an economic standpoint, certain fish simply are not worth the money to raise in fisheries, just as a farmer would not grow a field full of crops that he could not sell. These fish are aptly named by anglers who have determined their value in the industry. I'm from Arkansas and I've been fishing my entire life. From my experience, there are certain fish that we would label as rough or non-game fish, such as carp. Even though carp are important to the ecosystems, when we catch them, we throw them back because they are less valuable to the local economy. It is possible to call carp trash fish and still value them for the role that they play in our ecosystems.
Thanks, Addison. And for our top story of the week, students at the University of Washington have started a petition demanding the school allow transgender students to use their chosen names on diplomas. Even though there is already a UW policy that enables students to choose a preferred first, middle, and last name for display on class rosters and ID cards. Though having a stated graduation date of spring 2021, PhD candidate and instructor Vern Harner started the July 8th petition, which now has over 30,000 signatures. In the petition, Harner acknowledges that while UW, quote, supports trans students in many ways, not allowing students the option of displaying their chosen names on their diploma is, quote, not only an equity issue, but a safety issue for trans individuals. The petition continues to state that, quote, there is no state or federal law enforcing full legal names on diplomas. While transcripts must reflect legal names, there are multiple universities, including Yale, Miami University, the University of Missouri, and the University of Denver, that have policies making it simple for trans students to have diplomas reflecting chosen first names. The Daily, the school's student newspaper, reports that the registrar's office is considering options but has not made an official announcement. The university had updated its preferred name policy back in 2018. And just as a side note, according to Campus Pride, currently 265 colleges and universities allow students to use a chosen first name on campus records. But look, the bottom line is these students are about to enter the real world and the workforce as adults, yet they can't even seem to tolerate names on their diplomas. A diploma is supposed to be a sign of great accomplishment and maturity after having completed years of school. Well, this petition shows just the opposite, that these woke college students continue to complain about every little thing. And if using a preferred name really meant a lot to these students, don't you think they would have taken the time to change their names legally in the first place? Then they wouldn't have to worry about what name shows up on their diploma because it would be their preferred name. In fact, I did a little bit of research, and in the state of Washington, you are able to change your name if you are over the age of 18. According to WashingtonLawHelp.org, quote, it is not hard. All you have to do is fill out a petition, file that petition, and attend a court hearing. Then your name is changed. But of course, these students probably don't even know that that's an option because they would rather complain and petition something than find actual solutions. And that just goes to show that we are living in a society where everything and anything is being found offensive nowadays. Diplomas, which used to be a relatively non-controversial item, have now become epicenters for wokeness. The left has a great way of taking ordinary things and finding some way to make it offensive. And for our woke tweet of the week, Board of Governors Professor of Chemistry and Chemical Biology Richard H. Ebright took to social media to express his opinion of the unvaccinated. Ebright tweeted that, quote, the unvaccinated need to be excluded from public spaces, businesses, and schools. This tweet was in response to a CBS video that was tweeted about the NFL saying that, quote, any team that causes a game to be canceled due to COVID outbreaks among unvaccinated players will be responsible for financial losses, could lead to forfeited games, and neither team's players will be paid. Look, this type of rhetoric is detrimental to society because it ostracizes the unvaccinated into an entirely different group of people. This professor is sending a strong message to unvaccinated students in his class that they are essentially not welcome in his classroom or, frankly, in any part of society. Ebright is making the case that legally unvaccinated Americans should be treated as second-class citizens, and the vision he lays out would strip them of their First Amendment rights. Unfortunately, this professor shares the same sentiment as many Americans these days. All of a sudden, wanting to take personal responsibility and control over medical decisions, that's not acceptable anymore. Anyone who dares to show hesitancy towards a vaccine in any way is deemed as a conspiracy theorist. This is not the way America should be operating. Those are all the top stories we have for you this week. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow along with all of the college craziness on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Campus Reform. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Campus Countdown. But for now, I'm Ophelie Jacobson. Thanks for watching.